Kevin Durant has a new coach in Phoenix, with the Suns hiring Jordan Ott, at least for now. Our Shams Charania reported yesterday that trade talks for the future of the Hall of Famer will pick up heavily ahead of the NBA draft. Udonis, who should push their chips in on KD?
I would love to say one specific team, but I can't say that team, so I will say this. It needs to be a team that you're one player away from winning the championship. You have pieces, but you do not want a guy who is great as KD to be KD, but you don't want him to come in and stunt the growth of your younger guys. So there's a lot of different things you have to look at in that situation.
That one team, would it be one that wears
Miami,
red like a red suit that I'm wearing right now? To another developing story, changes are coming to All-Star Weekend, with Commissioner Adam Silver announcing the 2026 All-Star Game. It'll feature USA versus the world format. Brian Windhorst is here. Windy, is the NBA making the right decision here?
There's a lot of reaction in the league from this one. My phone was alight when I talked about this on First Take today. They are probably trying to shame the American players into trying to really have something to play for here, because money hasn't worked. Appealing to their sense of history hasn't worked. Now going to try to appeal their sense of nationalism. Can I just say, are we sure that all of the world players are going to want to play for the world? They play for their countries. What about the world? I don't know about that.
Well, only time will tell. Let's round it out in New York, because the Knicks, they are the only team without a head coach after firing Tom Thibodeau on Tuesday. That's despite being 2 wins away from being here in Oklahoma City instead of the Indiana Pacers. Our Shams Charania is here, who broke this news. Shams, where do the Knicks go from here?
I'm told Knicks president Leon Rose and owner James Dolan have started meeting about the next steps with this coaching search, which potential candidates could be possible for this role, because you think about in the aftermath of Tom Thibodeau being fired, the one thing that the Knicks made clear is we want a coach with championship focus. That's their singular goal. So you think about a coach with title pedigree, someone that's adaptable, someone that's flexible with their offensive and defensive scheme. So we'll see who out there fits that criteria. But in Tom Thibodeau, clearly the Knicks felt that they had reached their ceiling with him as their head coach. They felt like they needed a new voice there. And so I expect over the next several days for there to be some more clarity about where the Knicks go here with their future.
Brian, I haven't had a chance to hear your thoughts on this, because when Shams says that the Knicks are looking for a coach that has a championship pedigree, okay, but then they're also looking for a coach that is flexible, and the names that come to mind over here don't necessarily fit over there.
There's a lot of work to do on the whole team. They need to build out their roster a little bit more. When they made the trades for Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, they hollowed out their depth. So they do also need to address the roster a little bit this offseason as well. Ideally, you want to have a coach who you can align with, because one of the things that the Knicks did so well was aligning the players that they acquired to the way Tom Thibodeau wanted to play. And they had a lot of success with that. So having that alignment reestablished between their front office and head coach is going to be important. And that's what these next couple of weeks are going to be focused on. I think it's a good job. And it's a dangerous job, because the bar to clear for what will be successful next year is pretty narrow.
And that's why it caught so many people by surprise, I think, when they dismissed Tibbs. Is it just a change of a head coach? That's what the New York Knicks need to do to get over the hump here, UD?
Yeah, I think so. And let me just tell you this. This is the reason why when I retired, I said hell no to coaching. I want to know parts of it, because I understood now this is about the players. And there was a time where when I came in the league, a coach would say, I need this guy, that guy, this guy. Now it's in the reverse. The players go and say, we need this coach, that coach, this coach. It's a completely different ball game. So I agree with some of the things you were saying. They do need to be a little bit more creative offensively. One guy dominating the ball. The game is, the ball is finding energy now. You got a lot of backdoor cuts, pace and space, different things like that. But defensively, ain't no scheme for a guy just getting attacked. There's no scheme for that. So at the end of the day, yeah, there's coaching situations, but we can always point at the coach. We have to point at personnel, and at the same time, I always say this: to whom much is given, much is required. You can't just play one end of the basketball court and think you're going to win a championship.
Do we have a timeline yet on when they want to have a new coach in place, Shams?
Typically, under these circumstances, you want to have a coach in place by the NBA draft. You want your team president and your head coach in the same room for draft night. But piggybacking off what Brian just said, as far as there's going to be some level of change to this Knicks roster. Now, do you go for a landmark player? Do you try to look into Giannis Antetokounmpo? Do you look at Kevin Durant? On Kevin Durant, I will say this. The Knicks, there was some mutual interest between Kevin Durant and the Knicks at the trade deadline. The Knicks made an offer for Kevin Durant at the NBA trade deadline. Obviously, there was no Kevin Durant trade. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. So do they go star hunting? But at the bare minimum, they're going to have to add some more depth. That's going to be a requirement of this team this offseason.
What's the ability that they have to go star hunting?
Well, Jalen Brunson taking that contract discount is going to be paying off for years into the future. And so while the Cleveland Cavaliers are dealing with the second apron, while the Boston Celtics are dealing with the unfortunate Jason Tatum injury and the second apron, even the Indiana Pacers, they have not paid the luxury tax in 20 years to keep this team together. They will have to clear management to pay the luxury tax. The Knicks have flexibility under the second apron because Brunson was willing to take less than the max he could have made. That will enable them to have more flexibility both in adding players, small contracts via free agency, but also in trades. The biggest thing about being a second apron team and a first apron team is how you can assemble trades. The Knicks are in better position to make a big trade than their Eastern Conference rivals.
I'm just, when you say Giannis or you say Kevin Durant, how realistic are those possibilities, Shams?
You have to go and see where the possibilities lie with a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo. But again, we don't know where his future's at. He's open-minded. He wants to see, but a lot of that will be dictated by him. Kevin Durant is more wide open just in terms of, because we know.
Countdown to the finals. Don't worry, we got a 2-hour special alongside 2 hours. You ready?
Y'all only got this handsomeness for an hour.
Well, it's a good thing we will make it count while you're here. Kendrick Perkins, Janae Gumaka's here for the full 2 hours. Udonis Haslem.
When he leave, I'll take over for him.
We have another handsome man to my left. I'm Malika Andrews. Are y'all ready?
Yes.
Are you guys ready? Can I admit something? I go, and before game one of the finals, I always go back and I watch the hype videos from finals years past. So I am ready. I am ready
to play.
What do you guys think? Should we take a look back at how these two teams got here?
Yes.
Let's just remind everybody of the journey, because the Thunder, they rolled through the Grizzlies before gutting out a 7-game series win over Jokic and the Nuggets. And then they took care of business against the Timberwolves, 5 games in the Western Conference Finals. Now, the Pacers, they used 3 late-game comebacks to out the hobbled Bucks in round 1, then the top-seeded Cavaliers in round 2, and then you got the New York Knicks in the East Finals on the way to their first finals trip since 2000. And we keep saying that it's a surprise that the Pacers are here. Maybe we shouldn't be. These teams have been the best 2 records in the entire NBA since the start of January, including both the regular season and playoffs. 'Twas the night before game 1. Here's what both teams are talking about.
Staying true to who we are is the reason why we're here, and we'd be doing ourselves a disservice if we change or try to be something we're not. Once we got here, we've had success doing so, and if we want to keep having success, we have to be who we are.
We know that this is a great team, and I wouldn't want to, if we were to win a championship, I don't want to win any other way. I don't want to go around or go over. I want to go through. You want to go through the best team. You want to go through the best challenge.
I know you love that mentality.
Love it.
You want to go straight through. Somebody is going to win their first title in the 25 finals. The Pacers are seeking their first championship after previously winning 3 in the ABA, while the Thunder, they're seeking their first title since moving to Oklahoma City. Yes, they left the banner and everything back in Seattle. So I want to boil it down here, Udonis. Oftentimes we talk about game 1 as maybe a feel-out game. What is the question that you have that you're looking to have answered?
Who is going to impose their will? That is the question for me. You have control chaos on both sides of the basketball. You have a team in OKC who is plus 91 in turnover differential, and then you have a team with a guy who's getting 20 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers, and he's done that 9 times, which is also historical. Both teams are going to bend. I want to see who's going to break, and that's what it comes down to me.
I thought he was going to say snap. I thought we were doing the bend and snap like Legally Blonde today.
Bend and snap. That probably went over your head. It's all good.
But it's all over mine, too. It went over mine, too.
Between us. It's a girl thing. Look, my biggest question is, will this be SGA's one shining moment? The moment where we have seen him, his career come to fruition, all the hard work pay off. And we've seen iterations of these moments building up, starting with this, versus T-Wolves coaching his team up and showing leadership, then smiling to the Nuggets. All right, guys, I got something. I'm going to have the last laugh. And this play right here, when he needed help, it finally, we found the Robin to his Batman. J-Dub knocking down the 3. What will be the next moment? He already right here in OKC won MVP, won finals, conference finals MVP. What is going to be next in this beautiful story that he's writing?
I'm looking at Chet Holmgren. That's the biggest question, because there was so many question marks coming into this postseason, and they addressed it in the offseason. The Achilles heel of the Oklahoma City Thunder was Chet not being able to play the 5. Well, he's played the 5 position, right? In the last 2 games of the Western Conference Finals, he did that because the Oklahoma City Thunder went small. He had 21 in Game 4, 22 in Game 5, and he's completing that big 3 of J-Dub and SGA. And they're going to have to go small again because of the matchup problems that Indiana, they place in front of you. I'm looking at OKC, and I'm going to say, hey, Chet, you got to go at the 5 spot.
Yep.
He proved that he could be successful, or the Thunder could be successful with Chet at the 5. His ability to stretch the floor, lob threat at the basket, and rim protection.
Yes. What you're talking about is the depth, right, of this Oklahoma City team, which is why, for me, this boils down to this is a matchup of David versus Goliath. It's a tale as old as time. Oklahoma City has run through the regular season. They are historically great. In fact, the Pacers have 18 fewer wins than the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is the largest difference in regular season wins entering a finals matchup since the Celtics against the Rockets. That was all the way back in 81. That was 22 wins. How much, though, Sinead, do you think you can glean from the regular season matchups between these two teams?
You can learn a lot.
All right, so let's take a look. Let's take a look. It's time for our electric moment, brought to you by Hyundai. As we look back at the regular season here, back on December 26th, this is the first of 2 matchups here, UD. This is a game that was tight throughout, but SGA, he took over late, 16 points in the 4th quarter.
I mean, coming down right there, a score like that, I know you want to pick up heels on the 3 because you can get to the midi, but you got to take away that 3.
It's tied for his most points in the 4th quarter in his career. The Thunders get the win in this one, and it was just a huge night for SGA that time out against the Indiana Pacers here. 45 points, a staggering of 15 of 22 shooting. He was efficient and he was lethal. And then the second matchup here, Perk, this is on March 29th. It was much of the same from SGA. 33 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists.
Man,
easy. It was too easy. And I'm laughing because you watching him like slice and dice through the defense is like, damn, what else can you do?
I mean, they were thunderstruck, right? That was the theme for Indiana, in large part, Sinead, because of the struggles of Tyrese Halliburton, which he's talked about early on in the year.
Yeah, and when you think about Tyrese Halliburton, when you play him with physicality, when you get him off rhythm, that's when you're really going to create your own advantage. But I also want to highlight Pascal Siakam because they had a unique strategy on him. They gave him space. They want him to shoot from the outside because he's so good getting downhill. Instead, look at that, 9 feet of separation. Now you're going to allow him to close the gap, but you're going to stay strong with verticality. That's a front rim shot. Another option that you have limiting Pascal Siakam is denying him the ball. This is J-Dub right here. Look at the deny, forced to bounce pass. Typically, that's a backdoor layup. Look at the hustle by the Thunder. That's why, Malika, you said truly thunderstruck.
Yeah, it's safe to say that OKC, they dominated the regular season matchups against Indiana, which is why, UD, you're better at this than anybody I know. Because as a average human being, I would walk into this and I would look around and say, dang, if I'm Indiana, I know what happened in the regular season and I know the odds. I know that we are not supposed to be here. How do you not let it creep into your mind that this is something that we're not supposed to win?
Let it creep in. Listen to everything everybody has to say. Do not. I used to tell all my guys, please cut on ESPN. Please just listen to it.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you everything they say about you and listen to it. And when you hear it, come to the locker room and make sure everybody else heard it.
Yeah.
I used to send out texts to my guys. I record y'all talking about us. You was in all the group texts. You was in all the group texts. And I'm letting guys know this is how they feel about us. Yeah. It's us against the world. That kind of mentality.
Right, because in 2018, you're on the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, you know what you're facing in Steph Curry and Kevin Durant and did you have the thought like, we got to go up against these guys?
Damn right. But I ain't going to let the world know that. But yeah, I thought that. We got to face KD and Steph. Like, you definitely have doubt, right? But you just got to, you got to see what guys are going to do in the moment. That's why the games are won between the lines. And all of a sudden, you got to see if it's real, right? The Pacers need to see if it's real, which it is. It's real. It's dangerous.
But also, it's nice when you don't have the pressure, when all the expectation is on the other squad. You just pull up and say, I'm going to hoop.
Yes. And when you got a group full of underdogs, this is your chance. This is your chance against all the high draft picks. This is your chance against all those guys who they talk about and who get the commercials.
Right.
They can't help them. The refs can't help them. Their mama can't help them. This is your chance. Now you come down right here and we're looking at SGA. We look at the deception of SGA. I think his intelligence is really undervalued, how intelligent he is. He never goes where you think he's going to go. The screen comes up, he rejects the screen. As a defender, when you got a good offensive player, you turn your head, he rejects and get downhill. Once again, you see the screen. They're looking for the screen. He rejects the screen again. If you're Indiana, you're better off just switching this because there was no contact, so you should just switch it. You stay on the ball, the other guy gets back. Now he gets downhill again.
Yeah.
As great as a basketball player as SGA is, I think his IQ is undervalued. He has a counter to everything. Once he get in the paint, if he made a pull-up jumper, the next time he's going to shot fake you. You're going to go up. He's going to get into your body and get to the free throw line. So his game is not just based on skill set. It's also based on basketball IQ.
And we've seen that evolve. He has the perfect cast around him through the regular season, even since the matchups that we saw against the Indiana Pacers today.
Perfect word, because if the Oklahoma City Thunder were a movie, they'd be the neutralizers, and they have a star cast, but what they do is they neutralize your strength, and they did this with Tyrese Halliburton. 6.8 drives per game. That was his fewest allowed by any team. They're going to take away his vision. They're going to take away his takes to the paint. Watch, Lou Dort is the matchup, but what I love here is that they take away your vision. This is a guy who has led the postseason in assists. You have two people hawking the ball. Also on the backside, there's poor spacing. No one's looking at the ball. What's happening here? Hallie needs some help. They find a post up, and look at how many people are around defending and to secure that rebound. Rebounds win championships. Again, Lou Dort will get hit by a screen, but that's no problem. Shea's going to switch. That's no problem. Hartenstein is there. So you go over there, you see a tough contest. This is an Oklahoma City Thunder team that is great, not because of teams making shots or missing shots.
Right.
It's because they really force contests. Look at these numbers by Lou Dort. Half-court matchups. I mean, this is tough. Stephen A. said it before. That's not a basketball player. That's a linebacker out there.
And that's why you have someone like Mike Conley saying it looks like we may be open on some of these shots, but we actually weren't if you take just one level deeper and take a deeper look at this. We've talked about the guards on both sides. Is there anyone who's going to give love to the big men?
Yeah, me. I got a chance. I got a chance to meet the parents of Miles Turner yesterday.
Oh,
great people.
love that.
I talked to them. They say, "Perk, we appreciate the kind words that when you talk about our son." And I was thinking to myself, "You really don't know me, huh?"
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm just joking. But I will keep it real.
He's a puppy.
But speaking of Miles Turner, right? He is the X factor for the Indiana Pacers. If they're going to have a shot at being in this series, he got to elevate his game. We saw in the first two series against the Bucks, against the Cavs, he was there, leading the league, leading the postseason in block shots. He disappeared in the conference finals. This is not the time for him to disappear. His shot making needs to be there. The mismatches against on the post ups needs to be there, and most importantly, he has to anchor that defense.
Yeah.
He has to anchor that defense. That rim protection is needed because OKC don't live by the three, die by the three. They get to the mid-range and they get in that paint.
It's going to be really interesting whether or not they go double big in this series, OKC, because if Hartenstein doesn't have as big of a role as we've seen previously, do you like Miles Turner? Final hours to game one of the NBA Finals. Should I admit that I've had three?
I knew it.
Whee! All right, Rick Carlisle, though, he's been here before, caffeinated or not. He ranks 11th in regular season wins, 10th in playoff victories. He also won the 2011 championship with the Mavs as the underdog against the Miami Heat. I know. I'm sorry, UB. We're bringing that back up. Here's Carlisle yesterday at Media Day talking about the challenge that OKC presents.
A lot of our guys have been through a lot of situations where they've been underdogs in the past, and it's simply going to come down to us being able to play our game at the best possible level. We're going to need to take care of the ball because these guys turn people over at a historic rate, and we're going to have to make some shots.
Well, yeah, that would be a good place to start. Jamal Collier is covering the Indiana Pacers for us. Jamal, how are they embracing this underdog role yet again? How is that fueling them?
Well, Malika, they know that nobody's going to pick them to win this series, and that's where the Pacers have been comfortable really throughout this playoff run, where they've been the underdog in sort of an overlooked team before getting to this point. But in the locker room, those guys believe, they expect it to be here, and they respect their opponent as well, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They know 68 wins, the MVP of the league. They've earned their spot to be the heavy favorite. And as Rick Carlisle mentioned, that starts with not turning the ball over as the key to being able to beat this Thunder team. The Pacers play that up-tempo and fast break style that's led by Tyrese Halliburton. And Halliburton really prides himself on not turning the ball over and taking care of the ball. Something I asked him about earlier during this playoff run. And he says he works on it throughout the season, in the offseason, to be able to deliver some of these jump passes that would probably drive a high school coach crazy. And Halliburton says it's important for the Pacers to get a shot every time down the floor. And that may sound, obvious and sound like a routine, thing for this team, but you've seen it throughout the West playoffs when the Thunder can get in transition, start turning teams over. They're a really tough team to beat, especially in this building.
Yeah, I don't think that's something that they should take for granted. And what it sounds like you're talking about is that appropriate fear that Indiana has of their opponent. And really, that's just respect. Jamal, thank you so much for that insight here. You mentioned Tyrese Halliburton. Well, Halliburton and the Pacers, they've put up 2.2 assists to turnover ratio this postseason. That's the best in the entire NBA. But Perk, I hear you spied something.
I'm Kendrick Perkins, better known as Big Perk, and nothing gets past me.
Freeze!
Just when you thought it did get past me, there I am. I spy a problem. I spy it all. Carry the hell on. Hello, world, and happy Thursday. Finals Thursday at that. Hey, listen, I do spy something. I spy one of the most dangerous, best teams in NBA history defensively, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They locked up Nikola Jokic in the second round, and then all of a sudden they got to Anthony Edwards, and if you don't want to believe me, here's what Ant-Man had to say.
Which kind of gave them,
a damn one string.
Yeah, they were like on one string defensively. They had
15 couplets on one string.
They had a plan. They executed it.
You did it. You said they track what? Deflections. Here's the thing about the Oklahoma City Thunder. Everybody could defend at a high level. Look at J-Dub right here going up against the bigger, more physical Julius Randle. Active hands, they get out in transition. Casey Wallace pushing the pace. Isaiah Hartenstein for the lob threat, for the dunk. Here we go again. Now this is Aaron Wiggins that's holding his ground. Chest on Julius Randle, right? Five defenders, all on the string once again. They all watching ball, but all see, man, look, Alex Caruso down there tangling with Rudy Gobert. All of a sudden, SGA get the steal. They out on the break again. When you talk about this team defensively,
right,
it's a reason why when they win this series, they're going to be labeled one of the greatest teams to ever do it. It's because they're one of the best defensive teams that I've ever seen with my own two eyes.
You know how you notice how he just smoothly says when they win this series? He didn't say if, he said when they win this series. Okay, so with all of that Perk just broke down, the defenses may sound like an overly simplistic question, but I'll ask it anyway. How's Indiana supposed to score?
X factor. Pascal Siakam has to be Pascal Siakam. He's the one guy I feel like in a half court is going to have an advantage. If you go at him with the bigger guys, he's going to be able to go around those bigger guys, get to his step back, get to his counters and different things like that. If you go at him with smaller guys, I think he has the skill set to get inside the paint. And if he does, those guys are going to be active. He's going to have to spray to shooters. But you're going to need your X factors. You're going to need the Nembharts. You're going to need the Naismith. Those guys, when it gets Cleveland in game 1 and game 2, you had 23 points from each one of those guys.
Right.
So you're going to need one of those guys to step up. And Rick Carlisle, the Wizard, you're going to need your coach to get you one.
Absolutely. And you know what? When you think about the Pacers, every inch of the court matters. On 94 feet, 1,128 inches. I did the math. Especially, y'all, the corners. The corners. You're funny, sis. And the reason I say the corners is because that right there could be the Pacers' advantage. Look at these numbers. The Thunder allowed the most corner threes, 12.4 in the NBA, where the Pacers shoot 47% on corner threes. Why does this happen? Perk just showed you an amazing video of them loading up the paint. Also, they're high when it comes to passing lanes, trying to take away the passing lane. If they're able to, I know the jump pass for Tyrese Halliburton is a little bit risky,
right,
but if they're able to lob to those corners and knock down one of those high percentage shots, that's going to be a pathway for success. But you have to attack the paint first in order to spray out.
That 18 points a game that Tyrese Halliburton is scoring right now, or averaging in the postseason, that's not going to cut the mustard. He averaged 18 against the Thunder. They're going to get swept. He needs to average 25 or 30. Look, you've been scouted. Everybody has been scouted at this point. There's nothing else new that you could throw out there. It's time for great players to be great.
I just look at the physicality of a Lou Dort and how much a Tyrese Halliburton can struggle with that. If Siakam's able to come in, they're 3-0 when he scores 30 this postseason.
But Malika, here's the thing.
Right.
This is what I'm trying to say. Play with a lot of greats. You did too as well. When it's time to hit this big stage, you got to fight fire with fire. Like, you can't come out here on this big stage. What?
I have a question, though, because we just saw what they did to Ant. They made it hard. They forced someone else to bring the ball up. That was an adjustment.
That's what I think they're going to do with Halliburton.
That is the issue here.
I know. That's why I got them picked to win.
But at least Siakam can create his own shot, right? So that could be something a little bit different.
Did you hear what Rick Carlisle said just now?
Make shots.
We got to make shots.
We got to make shots. That's a good place to start.
Right.
Perk, are you ready to make?
Come big with it. Big Perks, big list of NBA Finals performances. Wendy, this is not your list. It's not Malika's list.
Darn.
It's not you
Someday it will
list.
be.
But I think y'all will be pleased. And if y'all not, I don't give a damn. Because it's Big Perks list. Coming in at number 5. Bam! Put it up there. Steph Curry, 2022. The man averaged 30 against the Boston Celtics, right? We saw him shedding tears of joy because he finally captured his finals MVP and he got it done on both ends of the floor. They were trying to target him and Steph Curry was sliding those puppies coming in at number 4. Give me some energy.
I can't wait to see who's on this list. Bam!
Put it up there. Dwayne Wade,
Oh, yes.
2006, when he earned the nickname Flash in the NBA Finals. You know how much that man averaged? 35 as a youngster. Took it over. You was right there. Look at you setting the screen. You witnessed greatness. You know that man got in his bag. Everybody thought it was going to be Shaq or Alonzo Mourning, and they played a part. You did too with that 15-footer. But damn it, Flash was Flash. D-Wade at number 4. Malika, give me some energy here.
Bam!
I like that. Bam! Put it up there. Magic Johnson, 1980. I wasn't born, but I seen the highlights and I seen the numbers. He averaged 21, 11, and 9 in this series and did what he had to do on the biggest stage. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't somebody missing in this game?
The captain.
Yeah. He was missing. Magic Johnson had to play the center position at 6'9" at the point guard and gave him the work to seal the deal. Coming in at number 2. You did give me some energy right here, boy. Bam! I keep him on my feet. Jays, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. You know what he did in this series? He averaged 41 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists. Told the Suns up. Told the Suns up. Right? Hey, listen. This was one of them, right? When you had the antennas on the, you know what I mean, on the TV at the time, the clothes hanging. You had to get it right just to see Jordan on Sunday and perform. You remember that? Huh?
I'm just wondering who's number 1.
41 points. I don't remember that. That was amazing.
You know who's number 1. Put it up there. Bam! The GOAT. The greatest of all time, 2016. Never been done in finals history. He was down 3-1, going against the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. And what did he do? He showed greatness, averaging 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. Came back down 3-1, first time in ever done in NBA history. This is Big Perk's big list of top NBA Finals performances.
I always start to sweat a little bit, an homage to Perk, I guess, when I ask if there's any notes on this list, because it's very clearly not our list, Brian.
You know, LeBron's game 5, 6, and 7 in 2016 was pretty special.
Yeah.
I heard those Jordan numbers from the Phoenix series. I mean, that was...
Yeah, that was crazy.
What about Jokic? 30, 14, and 7 in the finals? That's worth at least an honorable mention.
He was, but everybody can't make the list.
That's true. It's exclusive. It's an exclusive club. Speaking of all-time performances here, did you guys see what Kevin Durant, he posted on social media the other day? If not, well, let me remind everybody. Well, no, it's not like that. It's not like that, right? He was asked who wins a best of 7 series, 2012 OKC or this year's Oklahoma City team. And he said that he's not big on hypotheticals. Honestly, I'm not either, but he doesn't know. So he says that this team, they are historically great. He thinks they have great shooting, they're efficient go-to scorers, size, athleticism, all across the board. Just flat out perfectly crafted. I can't say the next part, but they're putting together great film to learn from. UD, he says he doesn't know, but your Miami team, they actually beat Perk's Thunder team in 2000.
Yes,
so he sat up a little straighter. And you were on the sidelines here. So I had to get your guys' opinions on these two teams.
I had really good seats.
Brian, you're treated like a king around these parts. Perk, make sure of that.
I got to go with the young guys. I got to go with the 2025 team. I look at this team and I just look at the brotherhood, the camaraderie. I look at how much fun they have in interviews together. I think they really enjoy others' success. And I had a chance to talk to George Sedano, and he made a great point to me because he talked to Dagnall and those guys, and they really understand the pecking order. They understand the pecking order. I think that has to do a lot with the success of this team. So we watched this team grow from getting put out, being in the play-in in the 10th seed to losing last year to where they are now. So they've grown together, and they really enjoy the journey.
Oh, on me?
I want to hear from you first.
It will go 7. It will go 7 games, but I will give the edge to the 2012 team. 1, because it's one of the best defensive teams I've ever seen. But 2, there's no insecurities there to what UD was saying, right? They know who that guy is on this team, and SGA. And J-Dub have no problem with being the 1B or the Robin to him, right? We see the support, we see the backing, and that's what I think separates them and everybody else right now. You don't find that in young guys, right? Like usually at this stage, young guys, they want to turn the TV on, And they want to be the reason that you won.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see the highlights of them. They want to hear us talking about them. But you don't see this with this Thunder squad. And the thing about SGA, now he's getting his, but he's not getting the way of others getting theirs. So I'm looking at this team collectively and how deep they are and how together they are. They will beat us in a 7-game series.
Oh, so you're saying the 25 team would win?
Yeah, the 25 team.
Okay.
I'm
All
sorry.
right. I want to verify. So I can't say how impressive it is and a compliment to this year's team that members of the 2012 team, like Perk and KD, because everybody believes that their teams were the best. The fact that two guys from that team are basically not saying 2012 is a compliment to this team. And I will also say, if you are comparing this, and I loved this and I appreciated Kevin having this conversation, this is one of those things on social media that can be very positive.
Yes,
that he's involved in that we really like. Harden was not an MVP yet. We didn't know. I mean, in 2012, Harden was Sixth Man of the Year. He was not the guy who a couple years later in Houston was competing to win the MVP for like 5 straight years. So just time and place, keep that in mind. In my view, it is also the 2025 team, keeping it in mind that Harden was not the guy who was winning the MVP.
Well, we didn't know, Wendy. We didn't know James was going to be that elite when he was here. To be honest with you, we didn't know.
We knew.
We
knew. The Miami Heat knew.
You know what I'm saying? We didn't. And part of your Heat people and your brothers, they the reason that they broke up, you know, influencing him to leave during the Olympics. D-Wade, bro, you know, telling him that.
I ain't get
telling him he needed his own squad, and it turned out they were right.
But that camaraderie that this Oklahoma team has, it's so rare, and it's been so cool to see up
especially
close.
as youngsters.
And talking to SGA about it, I mean, him and J-Dub lived together for a time, or him and Lou Dort, rather. He drove J-Dub, he drove him to the airport, like that type of in the clutch all season. He's gone 12 of 14 on tying or go-ahead shots in the final 2 minutes of games. It's good for an 86% clip, the best on these shots since play-by-play was tracked. I have a fun fact for y'all.
Ooh.
Did you know? Look, any geography fans here?
Yes.
Geography fans? Okay. This year's NBA Finals, it features the 2 closest cities by mileage since the NBA merger.
Oh, wow.
Only 740 miles separate these 2 cities.
That's cool.
It doesn't actually mean, though, it's easy to fly between these 2, as we learned.
Very correct.
There's not that many direct flights. So we thought, well, what would happen if we took a little road trip? Like, what would happen if we drove from here up to Indianapolis? And we were talking about this the other day in the newsroom, and we were struggling a little bit to blind name states. Since anything that is embarrassing in the newsroom we take to television, we thought we would test our collective knowledge. Who's getting in the car driving first? We're taking a road trip to Indiana. Who can name the state? You're driving north from Oklahoma. We're driving north from Oklahoma.
Is that Kansas?
Who can name the state that we are driving to?
That got to be Kansas. That's Kansas. You going up.
So
you just heard.
Okay, good.
I know.
Okay, all right. So Sinead did it first. So she was driving here. So Perk. So now we're going. We take a little right.
All right, this is you, Perk.
And we got to go to another state. What state are you driving through next?
All right, let me see. It's not.
Everybody ain't go to Stanford.
I was just trying to get through.
It's okay. So I didn't know this the other day. I'm gonna admit it. So I made a little acronym for myself to learn this. So I was like A-OK. You're A-OK, Malika. So Arkansas is to the right. Then you go to Oklahoma. K is Kansas. Then you're in an M. You're in an M, Perk. What's the state?
Mississippi.
You're in
Mississippi.
There you go.
Missouri.
Oh, damn.
Missouri.
All right. So then we get through not Mississippi, but we get through Missouri.
You up, UD?
Before we get to Indiana. Big breaking.
I'm going to tell you now. Anything outside the bottom of that map, you can count me out.
There's another I state we got to drive through.
What's next to